You have tuned in today to Spirited Women Radio, where each and every week this program invites you to step into your personal power as we ignite the spark of hope and inspiration for each of you listening. I'm Marilyn Taylor, owner of Confident Directions Life Coaching, and happy to be here today with you on Spirited Women Radio as your host. To contact me, please go to my website at confident-directions.com. I'd love to hear from you. Today, we'll be having a very inspiring interview with Kelly McNellis-Senegor, founder of Women for One. Women for One is a global movement of authenticity and inspiration for women throughout the world. The website currently has reached over 4 million people from over 50 countries in only its second year of existence. For the past 20 years, Kelly has worked in the field of organizational development, group facilitation, and training. She was a management consultant with experience in nonprofit management and small business development. She lives near Seattle with her husband and 6 children. And before we get started with our interview, please go to womenforone.com for more information about Kelly and Women for One. So welcome to the show, Kelly.
Thank you, Marilyn. I'm really excited to be here.
So you're on the West Coast, and I'm on the East Coast, but we're making this happen.
That's right. That's right.
So I spoke with you a little earlier, and I told you how excited I was when I discovered Women for One and this movement that you have going. So share with our listeners, if you will, Kelly, what made you decide to start Women for One?
Well, Marilyn, my whole life I've felt very connected to women. They've kind of been my lifeline in many ways. And in working in my 20-plus years of nonprofit work, I saw so many people creating support networks for a specific identified need, and I supported them in doing that. Mm-hmm. So what happened was I went through a pretty intense period of my life where I lost one of my dearest friends. She passed away from cancer. I got a divorce, and I really did a lot of soul searching about what I wanted to do to give back to the world. So when I got my feet down back on the ground and got clear and healthy, I met a beautiful new partner, and we blended a family of 6 children together. Mm-hmm. I decided it was the time for me to really create something that was my passion instead of helping others create their passion, which what I did in my
time,
in my
wasn't
work.
It?
Right.
It was your time.
Right. And so, like in the interviews I do with a lot of these powerful women that are on my site, I noticed that I just wanted to feel and understand where women are coming from. And I decided to start a site. The way I decided to start it is I actually meditated, and I heard the term Women for One. And I was like, Women for One. I looked up the URL, or I got it. I got the site, and I knew I wanted to write. I got the site.
And Spirit was holding the site for you.
That's right. And I knew I wanted to write, really. That's where it started. I wanted to write about my experiences and share with others. But then, I realized one of my greatest strengths is pulling people together. Mm-hmm. And highlighting and having authentic conversation. And because I've loved women my whole life, my women are my sisters, my friends, everything, I decided to really make this a global movement for women to get in touch with their, like you do, inner authentic, their inner voice, to find out what they really are telling themselves, the stories they're telling themselves in their head, or the stories they've told themselves about who they are. And then I think the most important part of it, after you get in touch with your authentic voice, you bring to light those stories you're telling yourself. The most important piece of that was creating a new future for yourself and manifesting a new future and stepping into your power after you've acknowledged what's gone on in your life. So that's kind of where I went, where I wanted to provide a tool for women to be able to do that.
So you really used some of your background previously in business to bring this inspirational experience to people. It sounds like
yes,
you blended.
And I used,
yeah.
My life experience was more even than my background and my work because, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a best friend, and I'm just like every other woman in this world. We all have these struggles, and we're all trying to live up to this idealized image of what a woman should be. And I think the last 10 years where I was like really coming into who I am in my mid-40s, like, wait a minute, what brings me peace in my life? What brings me joy? In my 30s and 20s, I was trying to do the idealized version of a mom or a friend or woman. Now I'm creating my version of what I want in my life.
And as you stand in that beauty, you attract other people who are wanting to do the same thing, Kelly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And creating and manifesting Women for One is such a mirror for what I want women to do for themselves and what my vision of what women really throughout the world can do for themselves. And I feel like there's a big movement happening right now all over the world in the feminine. Feminine is shifting into this beautiful power instead of just the feminist movement. It's a big shift.
There is a big shift. Yeah, I see it in my practice and in how I engage with other women too. A lot of women are coming back to their center with so much love and nurturing and caring, not only for themselves but for one another and for families and for community, so that we can thrive. More profoundly, instead of always being so scattered and crazy and making ourselves miserable and everybody else that's around us.
That's right. And what's really interesting is I when I sat down and meditated and heard and followed my intuition around creating this movement, I kept hearing global, because I really feel like there's such a thread of interest and commonality through every woman throughout the whole world, that I just have focused on it being global. And with that, for example, I just got off a Skype call with this most beautiful Egyptian PhD student a few minutes ago, and she had contacted me because of what's happening in Egypt and with the revolution that had happened and what's happening in Syria to the women there. They're in war, and the oppression that they're going through right now. And we're considering, my team and I are considering going there and having some seminars to talk to women in the university and in the cities and in the rural villages about some tools that they can use to empower themselves with knowledge and education. But this woman is 23 years old, very bright, articulate, living in Cairo, and wants to get her PhD in feminism. And she's talking to me, and it's like she's my next door neighbor. We have so much commonality.
Yeah. It's a beautiful feeling, isn't it, Kelly?
It is.
I mean, it was like when you and I talked a few minutes ago. It was like, oh, she's my sister. Yeah. You just could feel that connection right away. We're about the same thing, and we're both finding ways to express it and, keep that energy going. So when you call it a movement, what do you mean by that?
Well, when I started, I just didn't want it to be a blog, and nothing against blogs. I think they're wonderful. But a movement to me is a group of people, a community that is connected and interconnected so that they can support one another with many different resources and tools. That's what a movement is to me. A blog is, a blog. You read it. You create conversation, which is, we do that. We create authentic conversation, but we also do many other things, which I can talk about on our site. And as I'm following my intuition, we are continually growing as we get feedback from our community inside of our movement. So we're just allowing it to manifest the way it needs to manifest according to the needs of the women joining us.
So when you say tools and resources, what would that be?
Okay, so we have a lot of different resources. The main part of Women for One that I've focused on for the past year is inviting women to join our movement on our site. And with that, they get, and it's free to join. It's a movement.
Yeah, you're right.
It's not like, join our class for this much money. But what they get with that is they get on our mailing list, and they get stories sent to them and interviews from powerful women and stories from women that share their lessons. There's a place on our site where you can click on, it says share, and it gives you guidelines, and you can share anything you feel like you want to release as a story in any area that you've gotten a lesson from. But the key is I really want to move women out of that victimization of staying in their story and move them into what action they took in their lives to move forward to create a better future for themselves. So that is the focus of the stories. So whether the women that join our community are inspired by these stories, or I interview very powerful women from all over the world that have manifested their future vision and are continually doing that, and we have these incredible, authentic conversations that, I am touched. I'm so lucky, like you get to speak with people. I'm so lucky to be able to talk to these people, because then my awareness expands in my life. That's another way. We also have a book list, and we highlight interesting books and videos that will inspire you to take action in your life in different areas. And then, sometimes, Marilyn, it's as simple as clicking on any kind of social media, which we're on, or going to our site and clicking on a quote for the day, and just looking at it and having that just simple inspiration daily.
Yeah,
so
feel the shift.
That's what we have. Feel the shift. That's what we have so far. But we have a lot of great ideas for the future.
Oh, you're making me nervous. Yeah, it's a good thing you have a team of people working with you, because I can feel this energy moving.
It's exciting.
I know.
Very
I can
exciting.
hear it. It's great. So you're saying that people can just go to the website, which is www.womenforone.com.
Right.
And look at what you have available there as a way for them to participate in small ways, or even maybe in some bigger ways by sharing their stories and the lessons learned, and that's how they can be involved.
Absolutely. And the newest tool we have out to share the stories, because some people like to read, but some people also like to listen or speak into a video, is we're just launching a new video piece where I'm going to be speaking about what Women for One is and what authenticity means to me and how you can get involved. And I'm going to invite all the other women that want to submit stories to do that through a video, so that we can post women sharing their stories through a video and we can actually see them.
That's right. Yeah, make it even more reality-based.
Right.
That sounds really nice, Kelly.
It's very exciting.
Did it take any courageous steps on your part to launch this site, Kelly?
I would say the most courageous step was setting my intent daily to follow my authentic voice. And it felt courageous. And I'm not saying that that's difficult to do. But,
I think it's very difficult, honey. That's why you have this Women for One. If it was easy, you wouldn't have an audience.
Well, I don't want to say it doesn't feel difficult to me. It feels challenging, because our personality and our ego and everything can get in the way of that. But to sit there and be like, okay, in my one part of my life, I'm going to set my intent. when I hear a yes or a no or a whisper or you should do this, I am going to follow the energy of that for Women for One. And it's a great practice for my life as a mom, you know.
Sure.
Because
you have to trust your instincts and your guts a lot, right?
Right.
You know, when you're parenting. Sure.
Mm-hmm. So sticking to that, you know, I heard we should go to Egypt. And, you know, my husband's like, you want to go to Egypt? I said, yeah, I do. I hear I'm supposed to go there. But not without saying you don't prepare. You know, you prepare. You start looking into it and following the energy of it. And if it's going to happen, it will be. And surrender to that.
Right. Take steps, take action. You know,
yes.
Like you said, investigate it, see if it is the right thing to do.
Right.
One of the other women that I've interviewed for Spirited Women is part of a movement that she calls Spirit at Work Global. And she says that, like you mentioned earlier, that education for the women of the world where there are struggles is by far the most important aspect that we can address.
Absolutely.
Globally.
And I will tell you, there was this one woman who submitted a story to me from a country in the Middle East, and she was burned from the top of her body to the tip of her toes by her husband as a punishment, and she can't speak anymore. It just makes me tear up when I think of this woman because she was so powerful, and her story is so beautiful, and she's so grateful for life. And she's made this incredible shift in her life because of what happened to her and turned it into power, not victimization, and helping others. And so she wrote me the other day and said, we send a little token out that when you become, we call it becoming a truth teller on Women for One, we send a token of our appreciation, this little token that has our logo on it with a lotus on the other side to thank people. And she said she can't speak, so she has a tracheotomy. She had a tracheotomy and she has a trach tube. She put it on her trach tube, the token, and said every day it reminds her that she is speaking her truth. And it moved me. It's like we are making a difference by connecting with these women all over the world and allowing them to have a voice.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Because our voice resonates in different ways, doesn't it, Kelly? It's not always through the spoken word. It's through our heart and soul and our spirit that we connect with one another. And, wow, that's a pretty amazing story. Whew.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty phenomenal.
And so you've mentioned that you'd like to go to Egypt and you know, maybe do some programs with the women there. What about some other plans for Women for One? What kind of vision are you having? Are you able to sleep at night?
Actually, my husband has been saying that. You know, my whole life, you know, I'm very passionate about being a mother and a friend and a partner. But when you find your true passion in in manifesting this world, I mean, it happened 2 years ago for me with Women for One, and now, you know, I get Oprah when she says, you know, you will find, when you find your passion, you will have boundless energy, and that's how I feel. And incredible ideas. I love every day that I get up and I work, and I used to hear people say that, and I never understood it. And I mean, I really didn't. And the steps that I took, I didn't. I'd be like, gosh, I don't feel that way.
Yeah.
But now, because I found my authentic voice, because I did some real work on who looked at myself and looked at the stories I told myself about who I was and really asked myself what it is that I wanted to do with my life, now I'm there and I've found my passion. So,
well, what I like hearing about what you're saying is that you took the time, you meditated, you listened, you didn't rush it.
Nope.
You know, because I think that's one of the issues that not just women but people in general might have, is that they don't wait for clarity. They're so busy all the time that it's hard to pay attention. And then we get misdirected and we start getting involved in things that aren't really that aren't really helping us to thrive in any way.
Right. And I also think the last piece around finding my passion was truly trusting, like taking the first steps and trusting it and not having some outcome or ideal in mind about an end result, but trusting daily that the energy, if you trust your authentic voice, what you hear, that it will take you where you need to go. So I didn't really answer your question around my future plans, but I can do that now. I just got all excited about talking about my passion.
I know, you got excited. That's what we like. We like this kind of fire.
but for future plans, as I talked to you about going to Egypt and possibly Macedonia, but I really would love to get together, and I've had some preliminary conversations with some of the powerful women I've interviewed. Annie Burnside, she's a parenting expert in Chicago. She does soul-to-soul parenting. Amazing woman. Elizabeth Lesser, who, with Omega, who I adore. Oh, wow. And Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor, who has become a friend of mine. She wrote my Stroke of Insight, and we met on a plane. It was a very weird. She was sitting in my seat, so we connected that way. And
very synchronistic.
Yes, and she's been a guide of mine for the past 2 years around Women for One, and just giving me little tidbits of insight, bringing women that are experts together in specific areas. And I don't want to call it a conference because it hasn't formed yet, but this goes back to my intuition and my authentic voice. I have this vision of doing something where you bring several experts in, either on a webinar or in a town like Chicago or Seattle, and women get to have their voice and speak, but also listen to the experts. So a community gathering of some sort. And I'm in talks around that with several people to do that with right now as well.
Yeah, that's
so
going
it's
to be
just
pretty
evolving and growing.
Because that energy really radiates out. It has a vibration to it, Kelly, as you know. I don't have to tell you. But, it does. When you're around people that are really passionate and excited and believe that things can be different.
Absolutely.
They allow you to get a little dance in your step, don't they? You walk out the door and you're feeling a little more pumped up. So I think it's
just another way to motivate people to take action in their own lives so they can manifest whatever that they set their intent to do.
So I want to remind people again that they can find out more about Women for One at www.womenforone.com. And Kelly, I'd like you to stay on the line, but I'd just like to thank you today for this time that you took to share, your incredible passion for what you're doing. And I hope that some of the women listening today get inspired to step into their authenticity, listen to their dreams, engage in action. So thank you so much, Kelly, for being with us.
Well, and thank you for everything you're doing in the world as well. We're very much aligned, and I'm really excited to have been able to talk to you about it.
Yeah, it was fun, wasn't it, huh?
Yes, it was great.
Okay, so love and blessings, everyone. Take care.